学園祭も近くて浮き足立っている。明日には揃うさ。さあ、授業を始めよう。
そんな自由すぎだよ。これが国際的？
Okay, clowns, now let's shut the fuck up for a moment and keep your stupid feet still. And now the G is talking. And I want to quickly highlight a few things before we start, because like it is important to basically set a few things straight before we do this. So first off, first point, hindsight is always easy, right? Hindsight is always easy. Everyone can look at a demo and point things out. Okay, do not defend yourself here. Like, I don't want to hear, but I did not lab it, and therefore I didn't know, and therefore I, you know, it is what it is, right? Let's just try, accept it, and learn. You can do the same things to a demo of me, or for example, a demo of the king himself, the god prince, Raev. You can do the same thing, right? And say, oh, he made a mistake here, maybe. The point is to acknowledge that and, you know, see where we can work things out. Now, first point. Everyone highlights different things, right? So you can see different focuses. For example, focus on different aspects, specific matchup training. That is also like a context we need to establish, like what is the general goal? Then obviously, second point, no one is perfect. And for that, we are now gonna look at a round of Princess Ling. You should now see it on the fucking screen. Now Princess Ling is obviously an insane player, and this is Parag Online, so a top 8 online tournament, yes, but he plays against the God of Destruction Victor that made it to losers finals, which means this guy is better than 99% of the player base, for sure. And we see what happens.
And that was one thing I was worried about, right? For like, if Peeling went Yoshi.
So he gets this amazing combo, and this is the point where things go south now. You will see this. So what happens? So Peeling does basically AOP 1-4, which puts Ling into back turn, but at a frame state where she is highly punishable, specifically by Victor. I know the footage is a bit low quality, but Victor now has the opportunity to down forward to her for free, basically. So this is a full launch punish for Victor. It is basically a knowledge check, right? No one is perfect. Everyone is a student. We have over, what, 3,000 unique moves in this bitch. So it is very hard, right? And this guy is really good. So now everything he has to do is punish Peeling with a down forward 2 and collect his combo. But look what he does. He gets completely annihilated. Peeling completely fucks him up and now collected a free round off of this. Again, what did he try to do? Boom, there it is. And he tries 2-2-2. Why? I can spoil you here real quick. That guy is not an idiot. He basically knows the Ling matchup basics. For example, Peeling tries the fucking unblockable tech on him, and this guy stands down. Like, he immediately recognizes it and stays on the ground. So this guy is not an idiot, he's not a clown, but his muscle memory just fucked him up, right? He wanted to get the 12 frame in. He just did 2-2-2, right? It was a small mistake, basically in his hands, that made him immediately lose this, right? Full round collected. And I can spoil you real quick here that he will lose this game, right? And this situation, I think, happens twice. I think it happens again in the second game. He does it again. His muscle memory, or basically his muscle memory, whatever it is, fails him again, and he gets completely destroyed because of it. So that should show you that no one is perfect, right? This game is pretty mad, right? It is not an easy game. Point number 3, what is the context, right? We have tournament versus ranked. Basically, consistency versus win streak, if you think about it. Because in tournament, people generally tend to not go with high variance mix-ups, right? They don't want that. Because you need to perform consistently, that is the goal of a tournament player, right? Be at the top constantly, win. To go through a pool and to go through brackets and shit, you need consistency. That is very important. In ranked, people you don't need to give a fuck, because the worst thing that happens is that you lose and then you queue up for another ranked match, right? But in tournament, what is the worst case? Well, you traveled 5,000 kilometers for fucking basically gas money and prize money, and now you're out of the tournament. That is what happens. So this is also very important, right? Not everything you see in tournament you should try to emulate in ranked. You can play more, let's say, risky, because you have a reward, basically. The ranked structure basically almost incentivizes you doing it, because you have the streak system, right? Of lose streak and win streak, bonus or penalty. So this is also what we have to keep in mind. 4th point. The quality of your win matters. You need to be honest about this shit. I will now quickly demonstrate you this, or like how this looks like if you do not give a fuck about the quality of your wins. So I hope I am allowed to use this footage. I have not yet subscribed to him, but I said I will subscribe to him, which I will do. I'm a man of my word. And then I will ask my questions regarding Lee to Fighting GM, the absolute legend. But he does this on the reg. He finds people that basically his quality assessment is basically they are complete dog shit, and yet they have the highest rank in the game. Some of them are outright cheaters. He already exposed some of them. Go to his channel and check that shit out. But here we have, again, it is not my job to clown on Jin players. I play the character myself. I think the character is amazing and he's Chad as fuck. But this is how it looks like when Fighting GM says you are a fucking idiot.
Come on now. My man get hit with +8. He got hit with +8, and then he mashed right after getting hit with +8. Yeah, this guy is like... Yeah, I think he's whack. Yeah, this guy is whack for a god.
This guy is whack.
Okay, that was cute.
The maximum Fighting GM gives in props to this clown is that was cute, you pleb. By the way, Fighting GM destroyed him, like with ease.
All the time. I don't know, man. Gods suck in this game.
Gods suck in this game.
Gods are really bad in this game. He got no movement, bro. He just keeps pressing. Look, every time he gets hit by something that's like really plus,
he presses every time.
All the time.
He whiffs like a motherfucker.
+6, and then he swung right afterwards. What the hell is this, bro?
And he does the Fighting GM
half screen cans, bro.
Okay.
Half screen cans.
Now Fighting GM also calls out that this guy has no real movement. He does like backdash and sidestep. He calls it like, he has a word for it. He calls it basically the maracas or some shit.
He's bad for max rank, bro. He's bad for max rank, man. He's bad. He's really bad.
He's
bad. This might just be a new YouTube series, right? I mean, just finding frauds. He doesn't know any frames. Look at this. Look at this. Right here. Look. Watch. You see that? -7, bro. And right after -7, he did down 2. And he got 3 plus 4 in the face, bro. Like, how the hell did you get God rank and you know no frames, bro? Like 0 frames.
Also in this video, I highly recommend you click on this from Fighting GM, the legend. His opinion on down 2 and hell sweep becomes also very clear on this. I don't want to rip on this and don't want to abuse his content too much now. You should watch it yourself, because this man is a legend and you should watch him. And he also answers not only questions if you sub to him, he also does it regularly in his YouTube comments. And people still treat him sometimes with disrespect, which highly infuriates me, and I'm almost planning on searching out these motherfuckers and destroying them for this immense disrespect to this player. He's also an anime fan and does figurine unboxings on his channel. I would highly recommend you go to him and basically leave a bit of encouragement there and a bit of appreciation for a guy that competes, or basically has competed for, I don't even the fuck know, like almost 20 years in this game. And also has, I have to quickly say this, he never basically writes on the fact that he did this, but he won a first to 2 against Arslan Ash himself on Pakistan ground. Yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. Then let's move on. General skill points, right? We need general skill points. What are we talking about? What are we trying to like observe? So first is movement in neutral. Why? Because you basically want to make shit whiff constantly, right? Like a clumsy approach, a clumsy forward 2 from a Jin, or a clumsy forward 2 from a Devil Jin, Kazi, or whatever, right? Clumsy approach. If you stay in motion, right, as much as you can, as safe as you can, you will make these approaches whiff, and you can immediately destroy your opponent for it. Now, if you don't do that, and you do the maraca, or like FightGM has like, or the Venezuelan dance, he has a word for it, I couldn't really understand it, then your movement becomes not clean, and you have very big holes in it that are abusable. So even though the Korean backdash is basically a bit less worth in this game, it is still recommendable that you learn that at some point to make shit like clumsy approaches whiff more easily, right? That is important. So we will check out this. Now next up, block punishment. Why? Because block punishment, if you optimize that well, can lead to... That is the difference between getting a standing punish into only plus frames, basically, or a standing punish into a wall splat, which basically means a full combo, right? So that is important. If something is launchable, you should launch it, right? If you played characters with amazing punishers, like for example Noctis in Tekken 7, that was a blessing. If you didn't launch, this shit could launch Death Fist on block, right? This shit, it's amazing. With punishment. Why? It's obvious. It's a very, very good opportunity to collect HP with punishment. If something obvious whiffs, I want to see a launch. Now, next point. Combo structure. Why? Because in a fighting game, having your opponent in a combo state is literally the best moment of the game for you. You need to capitalize here. And now definitions get a bit weird. So people talk about optimal. Did you ever hear that? He goes for optimal. Nice optimal. Note that optimal does not mean max damage. Because max damage in some cases is extremely unreasonable. Let's take Paul for example. Paul's max damage combo in Tekken 7 involved multiple basically frame perfect quarter circle forward 1 loops, which was so unreasonable that the only time I've ever seen 2 of those basically was Luffy, another an amazing Saudi Arabian Paul player. Amazing. So damage versus difficulty, right? Optimal does not mean max damage. If you can pull that shit off, do it. But there is a reason why in tournament people go for optimal and not basically almost any time go for max damage. But I want to see good combos. That is the difference between getting the wall and getting it really in there, getting it really up the ass, and not getting the wall, right? So combo structure is a point. Okizeme. Why? So the ground game, right? Pressure on wake up. Especially in Tekken 8, you want to, not always, but as a general rule, you want to keep the pressure up. You want to kill, right? So now I basically show you on the screen, there should be a Leroy. And he will basically, you see, he's a Tekken King. He's a legit Tekken King. He's a friend of mine. He knows what I think about him playing sometimes. He knows it. I critique him. But you see he Okis with a -14 mid. That is unacceptable. If I see you do that, I will rip into your face. I will just say it. Alright. Next point. Closing the round. Why? Because I've seen it time and time again, and I also still myself do it. I go for a riskier low than necessary. You want to close out the round? You go for like a mid-low after a heat dash, +5, and you go instead of, let's say a down 4 from Jin would have been enough, but you go for a down back 4. That is -13. Let's say you do that against a Kazuya, he reads that, he's ready for that shit, you get twin pistons in your ass. Right? Stop that. So closing the round, risk-reward understanding, right? Okay, next point, approach. Why? Well, because you have approach moves, so to speak, right? They're good at what they do, so why not use them? So a classic thing you see Mishima players do is they use the electric as approach. Then relatively fast, people will read that shit and will just do a quick duck and fuck you up because your electric whiffs, right? Why didn't you use forward 2 or something? Well, because you are an idiot. So let's think about that. Electrics are cool and shit, but be reasonable, right? These moves have a purpose, right? They are basically, in some cases, specifically designed to do a thing, and they are pretty good at that. Okay, not killing yourself. Why? I mean, that's completely obvious. If you kill yourself, this is gonna be a problem. If I see shit, like for example that Gario did in this video, where he for no reason went -12 in that bitch, even though there was no logical, rational reason to do that, no need for it, that is a big problem, and you should stop that, and you have to think about that, and you have to acknowledge that this was not good, because what you have to think about is, yes, there are a lot of scenarios where we can talk different decision makings, right? He could have done this, he could have done this. They are all relatively same in value, right? Then it's this decision making. What is no longer in the realm of decision making and debatable and basically is a discussion about your playstyle is when you literally kill yourself. Then you are just a complete clown. You deserve to be fucked up for this, and it will be my job to deliver judgment. So not kill yourself. The other part, the last point, use everything. Why? Because I've seen it multiple times. I've read these comments that people say, oh yeah, I don't use this move, or I don't use these things because I don't want to play like this. It's cheesy, or like blah blah blah. Again, now you're asking, but you said the quality of your wins matter. Yes, it does. But if you note specifically, my opponent doesn't know this. My opponent doesn't know I'm plus here. He doesn't know, right? Abuse it. Do it. Remember this quote from the chat Wave Dash Assassin leader cult himself?
戦いとは最後にどちらが立っているかそれだけだ生きることそのものだしぶといやつめ
ジンさんの誰より強い意志と覚悟をみんなが知っています。
我々にも花を持たせてくれたまえ。
Halte deine tiefsten Wünsche in Ehren.
遅いぞ切り札試された思いが俺に生きる勇気を与えてくれたバカな
守りたいものを見失わないでね
みんなと共に生きるため俺は何度でも立ち上がる
People will always complain. People will always complain. I've seen people complain about every single character in every single fighting game I ever touched. But notice, when they never complain when you lose at the end. They only complain if you win. I think Sajam said that. Or Brian F. I don't remember. Watch them both.
この他にいる闘志の無冠王者
The king of Iron Fist tournaments.